Yes, it is.
Is that right? According to your records.
I was enjoying listening to another one of your uh, sessions of the Legit Manor
Oh, yeah.
with your old buddies. Guys are endlessly entertaining.
They are very funny.
Yeah.
We just did that last night, actually. It's 2
Oh,
nights in a
cool.
row.
Are you still in that world, or have they?
No, they're still in the manor. It's like it's session 9, and like they're all level 3 now. They've gotten up to level 3 just in that one house. But we only play an hour and a half to 2 hours, so you're hitting those XP triggers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Pretty regularly, and that's one of the weird drawbacks of every session having that going down that list. I mean, in theory, like the less time you have, the less chance you'll have to hit all those triggers. So it's just like a funny thing. But then I realized in this case anyway, in their case, it's like it doesn't matter. Like the kind of realism doesn't matter because everybody's having a good time, and there's some there's satisfaction to be had from leveling up. So
Yeah. Could you just put another little stipulation in the session leveling up rule where like you only do it
you must have played 3 hours or something.
well, I don't know, because sometimes 3 hours you can play and you can still be all in one room or one location.
Yeah.
Like maybe there would have to be like some criteria gets fulfilled before you check for what
Yeah. Wait, I'm getting
some amount of in-game time passing, or I don't know.
Right, or coming back to town, or there may be other ways to do it. I'm sort of mulling that over, but so far, it's working okay. It's worked okay for this game, I feel, right? Like, I mean, the grand scheme of things, only like 4 months have gone by, so but it feels right for the amount of stuff you guys have done for you to be advanced to where you're at, whereas those guys have, they've gone through 8 rooms in a house, something like that. Anyway, it's entertaining. Okay, so and when last we left off, you had successfully defeated the Hand and his minions. As far as you know, the kind of elite soldiers of the Quirkeen, there were 4 of them, plus some word keepers, and the people from the Highlands sent them packing. If the ones they didn't leave bleeding in the mud, they sent packing away. And for your trouble, when you arrive back in Reuna, the villagers, come out that morning to greet you. Everybody's been on the watch, of course, because everybody's super anxious about how everything went down. And then, there's the first sign of you guys appearing out on the eastern road, and you hear a distant, the wind carries a whoop up from the village as everybody's, waving and cheering as you come down to the ford near the market, and people are running down to greet you. So there's a moment of kind of exultation and celebration, and then and you've got this. So in the train of people, you've got your all the people from Reuna and La Devisi. You've got 4 immigrants, essentially, from 2 Grasslanders and 2 Quirkeen, who chose to abandon their mining companions when you made that offer that they could come live in your land. And I believe, I wasn't sure what you did with there was 1 word keeper and 1 white one who had survived. And I can't remember what you guys chose to do with those guys, like send them home with the Hand or keep them captive. Was it sending them home with the Hand, Jen?
I think it was sending them home. Okay. I think that once we got him to swear that oath, we felt comfortable sending them.
And they can, of course, bear witness to what happened as well. And then part of the entourage is 3 wagons full of supplies and 5 of those yuta, 5 of those beasts, like tiny, like your beast of burden that hauled your cart all the way north from Saltwall. So there's 5 of those creatures along as well. So in one of those wagons is that little cache of loot from the hand that you took. I rolled all that up so we don't have to spend time doing that. The only thing to note there is that there was some fine doeskin gloves. I've written this all down, so you don't have to necessarily record it if you don't want to.
Okay.
5, there's some a pair of fine doeskin gloves, some white linen, not linen, some white trousers, which is very unusual. White cloth is very unusual, and 2 notable corkine girdles, like broad belts that the hand used to like hold in his paunch underneath his robes. But they're basically they're essentially belts. You could just easily wear them outside of your clothing. And then there's all those gems, which you don't know the value of, but there's 7 of them. And this, all of those were in this very fine silver box encrusted with opals. Definitely, that seems like a bit of a treasure. And then a fine copper ring and 2 cases of corkine wine. So that's all the stuff you brought with you. But then, of course, there's that celebration, and then there's the moment where the onlookers see the 3 dead villagers who are being carried back in the wagons as well. So there's a moment where people kind of recognize that happening. So upon your return, there's a bit of a celebration. And if anybody has anything to say to the gathered people, this would be a time to say it. Aseri has something that he wants to say. But if any of you reunions had any comments or statements to make after having completed, I think the temporary name was the Battle of Rain and Word, was what John had come up with.
And Jalmari was one of the ones who died?
Yeah, it was Jalmari, and then there were 2, Elma and Alvar were both, they're both from Rayuna. All the Ladevisians survived.
Right.
Taimi is pretty exhausted and pretty depleted, so I don't think that she has anything to say to the whole group. But I do know that I have an oath to fulfill to Anselmi.
Oh yeah, what was that oath?
That I told him that I would give him my room.
Oh yeah, you got no place to stay. You're so exhausted. Of course, the heroes of Rayuna will be can bed wherever they please, so you will be well taken care of.
Okay.
Perhaps Costi has a feather bed you can.
Yeah, maybe it's time that you got yourself an actual house. I mean, you've been living in the boarding house, right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a house or a tent or something. I don't know. I don't know if a house suits Taimi.
Yeah, so you basically get to stay. You get to choose where you would like to recuperate. Totally up to you. Whatever makes sense for Taimi's sensibility. But the resources of the village are at your disposal, essentially. People.
Well, and also, Annika's lives with under normal circumstances. Annika lives with. It's my character name, Paviki.
I think doesn't Annika's sister live with you?
Oh, is it her sister?
Yeah, they're twins. Yeah. Yeah. I think Annika crashed with Taimi. Isn't that right? Or did she have her own place?
I don't think we ever established it.
Okay. Yeah. But it's Annika's sister who is workmates with Paviki.
Oh, okay.
Hanika's sister, whose name I can't remember right now.
No, me either. I'll be sorry.
Yeah. So does Muirin or Vicky have anything to say? I'll let you think about that. Sari gets up. Let me. Sorry, just trying to get the map for context. There we go. Okay. Man, I forget the hotkey for full screen. Anybody?
Control L.
Control L. Thank you. All right. There it is right there. Okay. Yeah, so you guys come through the market. Everybody kind of follows you up the road to the main square. I guess that's probably where it happens. Yeah, so at the main square, people seem to, nobody wants to use the Corque Italo as like a backdrop for whatever announcements they're going to make. So on the opposite side of that central area there, Asari kind of, there's that, the hill kind of goes steeply uphill there. So Asari kind of climbs up a little bit and kind of calls for quiet. And everybody's kind of jubilant. And he, I guess basically to sum up, he thanks all of you. He thanks you by name, the three of you, and the brave villagers of Rayuna for daring to stand up to the Corkine. And he says that we are from now on. Our forebears before us came from the same families, and from now on, we are one family together. The mountain and the lowland. Let us never forget this, and let us rely upon each other henceforth. Yeah, and so everybody's like, yeah, and so there's a clasping of hands with the three of you, and Varpu's kind of looking on, trying to think of who else. Yeah, so we got a shot of Varpu. You know, some people kind of like talking about Varpu's exploits, and Voito the Shunned. Do you remember him? The guy who was all scarred up by the animal.
Yeah.
He, you know, there's like a glimmer of kind of happiness on his face. He's totally expressionless, but there's like this lighter sense in his eyes. These events have really changed a lot of people's demeanor for the better. And then he says, Asari says, there is no time for us to rest, alas. Our families await us at home in the mountains. So we will stop only to take part in your kind hospitality, and then we will continue on our way back to Light Embassy.
I think Paviki would talk to Voito and Varpu and the other folks in their gang and ask them what they would do now if they would come and stay in town, or what they had in mind, since they're not outlaws around here anymore.
Good question. I'm just looking at their I think Minea, Voito, Varpu. I think like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are would like to stay here in the Low Country with you, low relatively speaking, if you'll have them. And Ralph, Taru, Maruka, and Maiki, the beggar, are all going to return to La Debussy. So the people saying are Minea, Voito, Hela, the Weaver. Oh no, sorry. And Ralph is going to stay because you guys had discussed maybe Varpu and Ralph setting up a smithy, perhaps, to mend this broken armor and among other things. That's one possible project, would be to set up a smithy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason that the hand was coming is that they knew that there was iron underneath.
Yeah.
Here, and you said that 4 people had decided to come with us. Do they have skill in mining?
None of them have ever done. I mean, Voito is one thing about him is that he's tough and strong. So you don't know what skill is entailed in mining, but not a whole lot of that has gone on in these lands. I guess up in La Debussy actually there is that.
I was going to say they have the mines up in La Debussy,
Yep.
And I was actually talking about the 4 people from the Hands caravan that came.
Oh, those guys, sure, yeah. They're miners for sure. Yep.
That's awesome. That'll be very useful.
And Voito definitely knows his way around a pick and a chisel as well.
I don't want to insert myself into a relationship, but is Varpu still interested in learning magic? Is she really going to go to that fortress? I wondered whether she was going to be at Paiviki's heels.
Go to the fortress? What do you mean?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go. I mean, start at the smithy here.
Yeah.
I think at one point we talked about maybe making the Cave of the Beast like a fort, to kind of protect the southern border.
Yeah. It was. I mean, she had turned it into her hideout, so that is certainly a possibility if you guys wanted to do that. And Varpu, I think the promise had been. I mean, Paiviki did sort of promise to teach Varpu magic, right?
Oh, you have to go bringing that up again. Yeah, no, definitely.
She's not going to pursue it at the moment because this is all but that is something to keep in mind. So Varpu has skill with armor repair, so she doesn't need to establish the smithy, but she is super strong and she's got the ability. But with Rolf, she could participate in that. She is interested. I mean, not only interested, but she's been promised that she'll be taught magic. Who knows how that'll go? And then there's this whole idea that the cave could be turned into like a hideout and southern outpost, perhaps. All possibilities.
I guess out of character, are people still interested in those Hanukkah candles?
Yeah.
They're really pretty.
Yeah.
Gold. Yeah, they're gold. They're really nice.
We did Hanukkah a day early. We were like, oh, it's Hanukkah tonight.
And you got it wrong.
We had all kind of talked about, moving on and getting back into more like an exploratory setting. Are people still interested in that?
What are you thinking, Donna?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after downtime, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, you could take some downtime. Some of these projects and plans could get going for a unit, and then if you set off somewhere, you could, for instance, leave either while you guys are taking downtime or after you go. Varpu could set up that outpost, or the smithy could be worked on, or whatever. Yeah, you guys could set stuff in motion. You're essentially the leadership now of this place. You don't have to take that full responsibility because Tinny is here. And Topias has garnered a lot of respect in the village as well. So Topias could take on a role of, perhaps being in charge of the defenses or something like that. But you guys could decide how that's going to go.
Yeah,
And
I
then
would be
we
interested.
didn't.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh no, we didn't send anyone off into the woods yet, right? Like there's still those people there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. There's 3. In fact, Tinny, once everything settles down, Tinny wants to talk to you guys about that. There's 4 word keepers and El Mary are all here, tied to the tree.
Oh, right.
Only been like 2 days, but they are here, and they do have to be dealt with. We didn't come to any conclusions. We talked about the possibility of maybe the justice is that they would be released into the Motherwood to see what happens. That's one of the things that was discussed. Yeah, so I guess before downtime happens, Tinny does want to talk to you guys about that. Like after you say farewell to La Devastations. I mean, Taimi may just be too exhausted to even participate. Taimi can certainly go collapse wherever she wants.
No, Taimi could participate in that conversation.
Okay. So I guess that happens at behind Tinny's house. Kind of on the southern slope, looking out across the highlands towards, in the direction of the Cave of the Beast. So you guys are out of sight of the tree, but if you sort of peeked around Tiny's house, you'd see Tinny's house. You'd see those 4 people tied there. And I think the thing we had not established is what the actual tradition for. I don't know if you want to call it justice or judgment or whatever, in the village. We talked about ideas, but we hadn't concluded that there was a particular way that things go.
Oh, I thought that's what the Motherwood thing was. I thought that's what we.
If everybody's cool, I went back and I watched the video, and if everybody's cool with it, then we can totally go with it. But there was no conclusive statement was made. So.
Yeah. That was an idea, I think, that we were kind of like this about, like, yeah, whoa. I mean, we could say that is a tradition for people who have broken the contract or broken the trust of the village one way or the other. Then there's the question of how deserving are these people of that, or is that for people who are more of the village, or are outsiders treated the same way, or are they?
I was wondering that. I was wondering whether, like, being set in the Motherwood is an Almeri fate, and whether the other ones, that's where we have to, like, put our thinking caps on.
Oh, like the worst offender. I see. Like
he's of the village, and so so our laws would apply to him, but the other ones are from the capital. They're Colkeen and follow the Korka.
Yeah.
So, do we just set them out the front door and be like, well, have fun getting back to the capital?
Right.
I mean, Taimi would be down for that. I'm comfortable with the whole being released into the Motherwood. I think she's familiar enough with it to know that it is discerning in its treatment of people.
And then, so Taimi's down with, Almeri gets sent into the Motherwood, and the 4 word keepers are stripped of their arms and armor and sort of sent packing. Is that right?
Yes, okay. That's what Taimi proposes.
Okay.
I mean, I think that the whole Motherwood thing, I would think that if you send somebody in there and they come out okay, then they should also be free to be not exactly exonerated, but that they've passed the trial and should be free to go about their lives after that. It's like a punishment that they've met, or a test or something.
Yeah.
So if Elmeri goes in there and he comes out okay, then he should be allowed to join the village, I suppose. I don't know. If he wants to.
If he wants to, right. And obviously there would not be, I mean, depending on the culture, I guess there maybe there would be no hard feelings, but maybe there would. You know, I'm going to say if that's the way it is with the way you guys handle locals versus foreigners when it comes to these kinds of questions, I'm going to say that that's what happened to Voito, and that's why Voito got lost in the Motherwood that in the past, is because he had done something that was really bad, and he survived, but he bears the scars of that, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the reasons he was shunned, is because of that. I think the mark of the bramble cat in itself is a particularly like to meet a bramble cat and live with the mark of it on you is like a particularly that's a heck of a judgment that the Motherwood lays down. Okay, so send Elmeri out there. I think that'll happen kind of the next day. Is that everybody cool with it?
Yeah. I think John Shadurgeon thinks that there's like a chance that he'll like just be in there for a couple days and come out, and then we'll have to like deal with his stink again. But like, I think Taimi truly thinks that the Motherwood has, like a larger sentience and divinity.
Oh, great.
So, yes, I am cool with it.
I wonder if there's a thing in the Motherwood that the person has to get and bring back.
You have to go somewhere deep in, like somewhere where only a certain thing grows or a certain landmark is.
Yeah, as a token to show that they've been there. Welcomed back in.
I like that.
Like they have to find it, and then they have to. Yeah, that's a real sign of the fates kind of running their course.
Oh, right. Yeah, it could be a particular plant or flower, but that would be strange in the wintertime.
I mean, it's a fantasy world. I mean, it's an evergreen flower.
An evergreen.
Yeah. Like mistletoe's an evergreen, like some kind of plant that grows in the high branches of just the old growth, right?
Yeah. Like in the old deep part of the forest.
Do you want it to be a fungus or like a vine or a green flower? What would be a good symbolic thing to show that the Motherwood has? Well, I guess getting out is another question, but if you can.
I like the mistletoe thing. What if it is some kind of green flower that grows on another like old growth tree that you can find in the year round?
Great. Yeah, sounds good. We'll come up with a name for that at some point, but and it's a flower that grows up there. Okay, great. So that's going to happen on the morrow, along with at the same time, after the villagers mourn the loss of the three who passed. Sort of at dawn is when that procession will also go out into the forest, because you commit your dead to the Motherwood as well. So I think both of those things are will happen at the same time. I think the whole procession will go out, Elmeri will be sent out, and then they will they'll go and leave the bodies where the bodies usually get left. Okay, so Tinny is down with that. Do Do you cut the word keepers loose right now, or do you wait till the following morning?
The 4 word keepers?
Yeah.
If I'm inclined to just let them go. Like if that's what we decide their fate is, like
Yeah.
I don't know why we'd be keeping them.
So like right after this talk, you just go over, untie them from the tree, untie their hands, and they have to walk through the village with everybody kind of like jeering at them.
Yeah, give them their boots once they cross over the river.
Yeah, I mean, I would take, their weapons and their armor, but just let them go.
Yeah, they've already been stripped of that stuff. It's all in the house, the main house there. So you have possession of that, and they're sent across the bridge, and their boots are hurled after them.
What does Mirren think about all these barbaric traditions?
Oh, they don't seem barbaric. Weirin thinks, giving them the opportunity to, decide what happens next for them is probably the best path for, any kind of, if reconciliation is possible, like any kind of that situation. But they get off good.
Yeah, so Mirren doesn't have any issues there. Okay, so all that's going to happen. I guess maybe you're down there at the bridge and everybody's. I guess where is Mirren? Does Mirren kind of follow that group down and sort of watch those guys go, or is Mirren off doing something else while that's going on?
She's definitely watching. I think Weirin's just sort of gonna plan to process and meditate on what all of the events that have passed, and sort of think about what they learned.
And now, as those thoughts are going through, you're going over all the past events of geez, like the past several months, I guess, right? And this most intense past couple of days. Are you looking, as you're standing there on the village side of the bridge? What direction are you looking in? Just like if you imagine yourself standing there, are you staring off into the sky, or looking upstream or downstream, or out up the east road? Where is Mirren?
Oh. Yeah, I would guess. I guess sort of watching downstream then, or downstream, are they going east?
Yeah, they're headed off on the road. So they go
Yeah.
off, and the villagers, continue shouting at them. Some kids run after them, pelting them with pebbles. And then gradually people kind of turn and walk away. And I'm just picturing Weirin kind of still, as going over the things that you just described, just sort of picturing, where you were looking. It's not important.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of color.
Oh, yeah. She sort of is sort of following the direction of where Saltwall and stuff were,
Okay.
and sort of thinking about that area, that place.
Yeah, in fact, the little river eventually spills over that waterfall that
Right.
the River King's lair, and then runs out and comes out near Saltwall. So actually the little river is this direct connection to there. Great. So you're sort of staring downstream.
Right.
Yeah. And when you sort of finish having that thought, and you feel the kind of exhaustion of the past several days kind of catching up to you, and you turn around, and standing at a respectful distance is Anselmi, the archer. I don't know if you recall, but he was involved in the attack with you guys, and he has some reservations, let's say, about elves. And you turn and you see him there, and he kind of like seems kind of hesitant, and he's clearly been like waiting for you to turn around. He's not just there by accident. And he says, and he clearly doesn't know like how to address you or what to call you. I saw what you did, and I'm sorry I ever held you in anything but the best regard. Taimi has shown me that you are much more than my pathetic imagination made you out to be. And he's referring specifically to the you can tell that he's talking about the moment when you like knocked the hand out of the wagon.
Oh,
like
okay.
He saw you one-on-one. I mean, it was everything was going on, it was crazy, but he saw you like going one-on-one with the hand, and that clearly made an impression on him. So he kind of, literally hat in hand, he's got his little archer's cap in his hand, and he's just kind of like, I beg your forgiveness for my behavior.
Well, I'll definitely like return kindness to him, and sort of like reach out to his like shoulder, and say that we fought for Raina together, and I guess I won't say anything more to him, but I'll just think about how I guess my thought process is just like thinking about maybe elves don't have like a reputation for like caring for the humans, or wondering like maybe this is something like how those previous elves we met sort of didn't want to help at first, and so maybe it's sort of like wanting to think more about how our people could be more like connected to the world.
Your people, the elven people.
The elf people.
Wow, great. Awesome. So that's just running through your head after you just reassure him briefly. Great.
Yeah, because I don't want to assume what his reservations were in the first place, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that.
That's
The
Murin's
idea that
thought process.
perhaps perhaps the general perception or stereotype about elves is that they're aloof or distant, or and then of course you can imagine all kinds of things when you don't really know people personally. Great, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to cut to the next morning, unless anybody else has anything on the evening before. Sleep, you're going to sleep a long sleep?
Yeah.
And where would you like that to be? Tinny, offers you her home. And any number of villagers would welcome you. Do you want to just sleep under the stars? It is, the nights are sort of mild right now.
I really envision Taimi as previously, before all this hubbub, a loner, spending long stretches of time in the forest, tracking things by herself. And she's been with people of increasingly large group sizes for months now. I think, yeah, she kind of wants to just go to the motherwood and, find one of her old, kind of makeshift natural blinds in the tree and just kind of sleep there.
Oh, great! I love it. In the embrace of the motherwood, returning to solitude, away. Yeah, so maybe that's the evening, as twilight falls. There's a shot of you descending the hillside alone and walking off, and you can actually see people moving around back up in the village. The first stars are coming out in the sky, and you see Annika kind of like behind you. You're facing the wood, but we see Annika behind you kind of dashing down as if to like kind of catch up to you, and then she sort of stops and understands from a distance what's going on with you. And there's no like sadness or disappointment. She just kind of like recognizes that you are needing that space and turns back to the village. And I think the next morning when the procession arrives at the village at the forest edge, are you sound asleep or are you awake at dawn?
I'm awake at dawn.
Okay, so you're
yeah.
So you're there.
Because I also want to be awake when we send El Mary in.
Oh yeah. And as the kind of most experienced warden of the wood, I guess it's kind of your responsibility to send El Mary in.
Yeah, I give him, like, as much as I dislike him, and hope that this is, I you know what? Taimi knows that this is going to be his end. She truly believes it in her heart of hearts. So she will do as like thorough of a job as she can to explain what this flower looks like. She's not going to say like, find a red flower. Good luck, you putz. It doesn't matter if she's helpful. That's her duty. She would be taking away agency of the forest if by not describing the flower correctly, she would affect that process.
Got it. Great. Yeah, so everybody's kind of gathered around in a semicircle as you sort of lay out the ground rules.
Yeah, it's kind of like a there's a couple like almost like poetry like moments to it. Like I'm not going to freestyle a poem, but
yeah.
There's like moments where it's the description of the flower is like a little poem that's part of our like religion and relationship with the mother wood. The description of the direction that he should most likely go in order to find these flowers is in a short stanza, like poetry form.
Oh, great. Do you sing it or is it just spoken?
I like the Lord of the Rings like singing poem songs. So yeah.
Okay, great. So there's like oh my God, Taimi. Everybody's sort of transfixed by Taimi. Wait, Taimi has good charisma.
Taimi has great charisma.
Taimi has like a 16 charisma. People are riveted.
She's hot.
People are riveted at this moment. As you are sort of recounting these passages that have been passed down through generations, right? Like oral history of this tradition. Wow. Okay, awesome. And Almeri is like, shoulders drooping, staring at the ground. I think when you get to the most, some dramatic passage about the nature of the wood and the wood as a kind of entity, he kind of looks up at, the tone in your voice just sort of compels him to kind of look up at you and sort of stare you in the face. And you see, he's scared. He is scared, but he's also, there's in the middle of you doing this little poem song, he also, he recognizes something bigger than that fear, right? And then
I have something to insert and or establish. I'm just thinking about Voito, and we were talking about this before and said that Paiviki was attacked by a bramble cat when she was young and shunned by the other kids in town, and then went through a trial that Teeny had set up, and so I guess she brought this flower back.
Great.
And I wonder about Voito, who I assume then didn't bring the flower back. Or maybe he didn't go through the trial. Maybe he was just attacked and that was that. But I was wondering, and I think Paiviki would talk to Tini if there was a way to sort of absolve Voito, since he fought to protect Rayuna.
Yeah.
I guess because Tini is the sort of the keeper of the tree.
Yeah.
The old tree in town. You know, I think Paiviki would want to whatever, take away that that sort of curse or whatever that he has on him. But I don't know if she feels like she has the right to just declare that.
So how about you have that conversation with Tinny the night before?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And then Tinny agrees, and then she consults the tree essentially, and then at the end of this, so Almeri will be sent out in the wood. The dead villagers will be not buried, but they will be laid. They will be laid within the embrace of the wood. And then the sort of final thing to this whole ceremony will be absolution for Voito.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Does that jibe with?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine him watching Almeri go off into the woods.
Yeah, he yeah, you can tell there's like complicated emotions going on with him, right? There's
probably other people in town who either have gone through the trial or who have loved ones who went on the trial but never made it back.
Right. Yeah. It probably doesn't happen very often, but I'm sure those stories are told and passed down, right, through generations, like, because it must be a pretty serious offense that puts you in that position. Okay, so Almeri is Taimi, do you lead him some distance into the forest? Does everybody just sort of watch him go from the edge? Or how does that?
No, we don't go into the forest with him. That's his task, and
Okay.
we just kind of sing him off. Stage left.
Okay, yeah, there's like a whole, everybody starts singing at a certain point. And you watch until he disappears into the undergrowth. I'm gonna say, yeah, so he was tied up until that moment, so his bonds are untied, and he's just wearing a simple shirt, and he's barefoot. He's got shirt and pants on, and then he is disappeared into the wood. And then the three villagers, the two locals, and Jalmeri was actually from Rayuna. He joined Varpu's gang, but he was a Rayunan, so this is where he belongs. And the other two are taken out into different spots. I can't remember if you guys said that people are laid in kind of open fields or if they're laid at the base of trees.
I think the base of trees is what we had talked about. Mm-hmm. Kind of with their heads laying on between the roots or something like that.
Okay. And so they're all taken out, and then when that is all done, everybody returns to the edge of the forest, and Tinny calls Voito before the gathered people, and has him stand with his back to the forest, facing everyone, and then she sings a little poem song about the forgiveness of the motherwood and the deeds that Voito has done to keep Reuna free. How he has proven himself. And you know, in the midst of that, he starts to just weep silently. And then when that's all over, she goes forward and embraces him. She's quite short, but he bends down and embraces her, and other people kind of gather around and comfort him.
Well,
Anyone want to add anything to any of that? Is that all?
Paiviki would just go in and welcome him back.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, so he sort of gathers himself. You approach and he kind of gathers himself and he looks at you. You know, his eyes are all shiny, and he like clasps your shoulder and puts his hand on your heart and just like holds you and sort of stares you in the face. You know, holds you very, very firmly, like you just like this very, very tight grasp, and just looks at you without saying anything. Okay. Downtime. Although you guys do have you did get some treasure that you could stash away if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm up for stashing. I mean, I don't know how much liquid wealth we should be bringing with us, but that doesn't seem to have stopped us or affected us in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far you've gotten by without having to purchase a damn thing, right?
No, we just steal all these weapons from people. What do we have in the cart?
Let's see here.
I mean, like our old stash.
Your old stash is same as it ever was. The only thing you kept from that last big take was the Enin robe that Muirin tried on that one time. Everything else you socked away. Here is what was in this new stash. Maybe I could. So you got 58 silver pieces just to add to your current kitty, which is like close to 200, I think, John, is that right? In the wagon?
Yeah, it's like 170 something.
Yeah, so you could hold on to those loose silver pieces, and then you've got you know, the personal items probably don't add up to a whole lot, but are these gems, the copper ring, and the fine silver box encrusted with emeralds.
And then that stuff at the bottom, is it saying that the fine silver box includes the 2 malachite, the 1 citrine?
Yeah, sorry, I could zoom in
2
on
pearls.
that. There you go. Yeah, the citrine, 2 pearls, and 2 large aquamarines. Oh yeah, and 2 malachite. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like I don't have any need of any of that stuff, really. Even like all the wagons and things could become the property of Reuna. We could start like a wagon train.
Yeah,
those
no,
are
I mean,
supplies worth sitting on for sure. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I think we need one wagon has been really helpful. The mining supplies are great. I think that we can start mining iron here, you know, and start trading with Ledevisi. I don't know. Should one of us be taking the Great Mace, or should we be like getting rid of it?
Is it like a trophy? Is the Corky Italo going to become a museum of of Corky? I'm just falling here.
I was wondering what to do with that building. I was like, well, we could make it into an apartment complex, or you know, all the unmarried people could all like hang out there. It could be like a cool spot, or we could have like it could be like a barn it could be a community barn and keep animals there.
Oh yeah. Party space, party venue.
Anybody else have any ideas for the Corkiotalo future?
Right. Is it too much of a reminder of the Corkine? Would anybody want to dismantle it? Use the timber for something else? That would be another option.
I mean, especially if we're trying to start this micronation with La Devacy, this could be a good like municipal building, like a place to like hold meetings, you know. And I almost think that there's something powerful about the fact that like we took it from them and made it our own.
And specifically a place for that would sort of represent the alliance between your two villages as opposed to like a local government, right? Is that what you're thinking? Like a confederation kind of?
Yeah.
The only downside I see to that is just the symbolic thing of having that building be a place of power. Since that's what they use as their places of power, so it's kind of taking on their. I mean, the reunions are used to, I think, having their meetings under the great tree. That's true.
Yeah, so we can table that. You guys don't have to make that decision right now. That building is big and will stick around. How much do you want to bank away out of this loot?
Bank or stash?
Well, it's called bank it, but I might change the move to stash because that is easy to remember and sounds a little more accurate since there's no actual banks.
yeah, I think it's also like a little more encompassing for like the different kind of in fiction ways that you can stash. I think that I like Jason's first idea, just taking the silver pieces and then stashing the rest. Actually, Taimi would take the doe skin gloves. Those feel, with her fur lined cape. It feels like of a her je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. I mean, and they are the gloves of the hand, right? There's just maybe that's a certain. I don't know how you feel about that, but like, it could be like a trophy thing, or
no. I guess when I thought doe skin gloves, I thought of some like outdoorsy. I guess in my mind I was thinking of like tough gloves, like work, you know, some like good utility gloves.
No, yeah, they're quite fine.
No. Then okay. They're not for her. Not for her. Cheerfully withdraw with a request.
What a waste of doe skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
People like them. I think maybe Paviki would take the white trousers unless Mirren wants them.
No, Mirren only wants to swing the mace a couple times before deciding that's not for her.
So she's gonna just like a couple of practice swings
right, because she is looking for she's gonna think about what kind of weapon she needs later.
Cool. Yeah, so she picks that up.
And it's still like way too heavy.
What is Mirren's strength? Is it like 11?
It is either 10 or 11.
Yeah.
9.
Well, it used to be 11, didn't it?
Yeah, it used to be 11.
It can be 11 if she sleeps.
So even the wine can add
yeah, if you want to cash the wine in, you can totally cash the wine in.
Yeah.
I was wondering about keeping a few bottles just for like trading or something in case we meet some people who don't use money.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, Yeah.
Something to throw in the wagon on a journey.
yeah, great. Yeah, having a couple different goods from various lands, that's not a bad idea.
So you want to just hang on to those cases?
I think just like maybe stash one and then
Okay.
have another one.
Okay. Okay. So you are stashing the silver box, all the gems, and half of the wine, right?
Fine copper ring.
Oh yeah, the fine copper ring, got that too.
So fine.
What about the yutas and the wagons?
Yeah, so yeah, those, if you want to keep those as kind of usable, immediately usable resources, then those you would not be. They would just. Yeah, Tiny, your Yuta, who you brought all the way from Saltwall, is very happy to be reunited with some of his kind.
Yeah, well,
6 of them.
Yeah, no, I would think that we would have the juta and the wagons be usable by the village.
So that's my question. If they're usable by the village, does that mean we're holding on to them? Or does that mean we're stashing them?
Oh, you'd be holding on to them, like to make them actually kind of like a mechanical resource, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, that would be double. I hear what you're saying. That would be double dipping.
Right.
That would be getting the XP benefits, and then also getting the fiction in world benefits.
Right, and also that exactly.
And the material benefits of them, yada yada. I got it.
Yeah, like so fictionally we can say all this loot is being stashed to kind of support the village, and and we can sort of abstract that and say, okay, yay, the village has these resources now, we can play with it, we can sort of abstract it, but those animals could still like be stolen or killed, or because they're animals. Those wagons, if you're going to actually do some mining, then those wagons have all that gear in it, and that could be used for that. It is kind of a weird, blurry line there.
That's a good way to handle it.
All right, grand total. You are stashing a total of 940 silver pieces, which breaks down to 3 XP apiece. So you can each fill in three boxes on your stash track on the back of your character sheet.
We should have a portion. I've been enjoying the digital sheets.
Oh, Jason, there's the silver and stash box here.
Yeah.
Should we be filling that out?
Every time you stash, it's kind of like the only function that serves is it's your score. And this is not, the campaign we're playing is not really has not really been a game where like you're trying to like get a high score, right? Nobody's really died so far, so it's not necessary that you fill it in. But between this and the last stash, you would have filled in. How many points did you guys get last time apiece? Was it?
We've done 3 stashes.
Oh, you have. Okay.
We should have, if every line is 10, then you 2 should have 8, and then I have 9 stash, because we had 1 leftover one and I won a race, a ram race, if I recall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you wanted to track that, then
all right,
keep that score.
Points.
Okay, everybody mark.
And that's also XP.
So the stash is different from XP.
All the stash does is for every 100 silver you stash, you mark a little thing in your stash track, and then you also get an XP. So you should mark
I
both
see.
places.
Okay, double marker.
It just keeps track of stuff you stash separate from other ways of earning XP, because the way the game is written, it kind of acts as a sort of score, like a high score kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you guys have not done a whole lot of treasure hunting. You just happen to have found a fair amount.
Okay.
All right, with that taken care of, it's time for downtime. Time for downtime. What's Miriam going to do for the first week?
Um, well, she's going to meditate and reflect and think about uh, potions.
You can. Do you want to work on one or?
Yeah, I definitely want to work on something, some kind of crafting.
Okay, give that some thought.
Yeah.
Paiviki, what does Paiviki want to do?
I think that so Paiviki leveled up, and I never quite exactly settled on what special move that she wanted to get.
Yeah, wow. So what level are you? 6 now?
I guess so, yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
But I got a little confused with the fighter magic user thing.
Like the multi-classing?
Yeah, but I have written down level 6, level 3 magic user.
That's correct. Yep, magic users have been leveling up each time you level up. Yep.
But one thing that she's particularly interested in, I mean, besides just generally learning or reading those books and trying to, one, learn to read the magical script that she, can see when she does, when she connects with the weave of force, but also she was wondering about being able to help Yarko and fix his arm. And I had an in-game or out-of-game sort of question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at the magic user moves, and in one version of it, I could imagine that you would need to have a permanent duration on something that fixed his arm.
Right.
Which would be a really big spell. And then another version of the spell would be that it wouldn't be permanent, it would be instant. Because once the magic is gone, his arm is not magical anymore.
It's mended.
It's mended.
Yeah.
In which case it would be perhaps within her reach to do now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I guess Paiviki is wondering, I'm wondering, and she's wondering if it's within her capabilities to use the weave of force to weave his muscle and bone back together.
Yeah, wow. That's a whole nother interesting challenge. I'd say it's within, I would say that would be probably a major effect.
Mm-hmm.
He still has, it's not like you're regrowing an arm. He still has his arm. It's just been kind of seriously injured. So you'd be reversing a permanent injury. So I would say that'd be a major effect. And I think the real challenge there is you can't, it's all by feel, right? By like you're basically having to go really feel with the weave of force. Some really, some pretty complicated stuff in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be when you see it from a kind of like a natural perspective, an intuitive perspective, but like mending muscle and bone and whatnot. It's more complicated than lifting crossbow bolts out of crossbows that you can see with your naked eye, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it's within your capability, but it could go badly wrong.
Yeah.
What's your power level currently? It's like 3 plus
5.
5. So you've got is B major. It's a single person. Yeah, it could be, it's touch, absolutely. So you'd have 2 points left over plus your intelligence modifier, which is what?
+2.
Okay, so you'd have a +4 modifier for that. You could totally do it.
Do you think you seemed a little bit hesitant. I didn't know if, because it's just a question about the magic system, partly.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when you get into magic and you get into touch and individual people, you can do a lot.
Right.
If it doesn't need any duration, you can do a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe in that case we might bump it up to spectacular.
Right.
Yeah, which would actually, then you'd only get a +2 for the roll.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that's more. I guess returning the use of someone's arm to them is a pretty big deal.
Right. I mean, you could also, if you, it might get complicated, but under duration, say instant, but with lasting effects. But maybe that gets a little
wordy.
A little wordy.
The big challenge is having to fit it all into this one.
Right.
One page.
And the other, so that brought me around to the question of, would Paiviki try to find a advanced move that would help her? Like would she study up to try to figure out something that would help her with Yarko's condition? Like thaumaturge or something like that would give her extra power.
Oh, like a different advanced move than, like to invent an advanced move.
No, not invent a new one, but I was looking at the ones that are there, and if there are any ones that would help her with this this task. I was thinking that she might choose thaumaturge.
Yeah, that's the only one that would be clearly advantageous. But yeah. I mean, you already have. I mean, that would let you do some. That would be really tapping into some serious power. Yeah. You've already got that +2 intelligence modifier.
What's the move, if I can be?
It is when you cast a spell, you may burn ability points of your choice to increase your available power at a cost of 2 ability points per 1 point of power. So you can burn ability.
Yeah, out of combat or out of like active adventuring. That's wildly cool.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them seem really cool. I was just curious about that, but
I would say another thing you could do instead of taking an advanced move is you could work on a project to really try to understand anatomy. That would just in this one instance give you an advantage in casting the spell. You know what I mean? Or maybe this and future instances where we could say like, okay, if you spend 2 weeks, being a little kind of amateur biologist and talking to Tinny about that stuff, that I don't know, Tinny would be the local healer and really kind of like studying that stuff, then maybe for these kinds of mending spells, we could give you kind of a bonus for that specific thing, but it would require some study.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay.
But instead of having an advanced move?
Yeah, I mean, maybe at the end of that, you would basically essentially have a custom advanced move that would be when you're mending living flesh, you get to take +1, right?
Sounds good.
So I would say to do that and make that kind of like a for that custom advanced move, which I think would also count as your level up move. because it would be like a permanent change to what you're capable of.
Uh-huh.
It would just require you to do a 2-week-long project.
Okay.
Which would be progress 4. So you want to embark on that?
Sure.
Okay. Taimi, you going to recuperate?
Yeah, I'm down 9 ability points.
Well, that's a super easy move to make during downtime. We can roll for that right now. So you're you're not really camping because I mean you're camping, but you're sleeping in the trees. But like that's your happy place. So it's not like you're. It's funny. It's like one of these relative questions. The options are camping, squatting, poor in, modest in, and comfortable in.
I mean, once Taimi got probably like 2 nights of that out of her system, if she really didn't feel like, I don't feel any better, then she would take somebody else on their hospitality.
Okay. So for a week, you get to roll 2d4. And what do you have a con modifier?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
So 2d4 straight up, and that's how many HP and or ability points you heal in the first week.
This might be all I do for the downtime. 2 and 3.
Okay, so 5 points.
5. Not bad.
Donna, any thoughts about what Mirren might want to get up to?
Yeah. If she crafts, does that mean she can't also recover like damaged abilities?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to
Pick.
Are you down? Are you down much?
Honestly, it's mostly fine. Because luck is something that you only get if you level up, right?
You get it back when you level up. Yeah.
Right.
You can never gain your luck. Never. Well, I shouldn't say never because the gods might be able to increase your luck, but luck is sort of doesn't change.
Okay. But so if I craft, I wanted to craft more poison. I remember crafting like a paralyzing one. I just can't quite remember what the ingredients were. I think they were like I think I made it when we were in this area last.
This is
in
the one
Rayuna.
that you made to, not the one you made to put the beast to sleep. That was the.
Yeah, it was called Lockfinger, and it was
That's the stuff.
it was like a paralyzing.
And you had to harvest something from like something in the mud of the river by the River King's place, if I remember.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, the snails.
Yeah, the special snails.
Oh, that was the lock. Oh, I thought that was the Okay, yeah, you're right.
There's only been 3 so far, right?
Well, yeah, there's Isolmet Spain, Lockfinger. There was a forgetting one, which was like that.
Oh, the powder, right?
Powder, yeah, and then the confusing one, which was the frogs or the toads.
The toads, yeah.
Okay.
So the question is whether those slugs actually live up in this part of the river, which you can try to
Right.
establish. You can try to establish that they do, but it's not a given. It might just be that lowland special mud that they have down there.
Yeah. Ola work on the. Can I make the lethal mushroom one? The Isolmet Spain.
Yeah. We're gonna have. If you don't have it written down, we're gonna have to do a quick. We're gonna have to dredge our memories for some of the details here. I'm getting the list of concoctions from the marketplace.
I believe it.
It has a slow effect, right?
Yeah, and like the amount of it that we used only put him to sleep.
Because he was just a big, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and there was the chance that it might kill someone who was normal sized, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 40, 20. So it's slow. I'm going to say that's a pretty major effect. So it's got a base cost of 20 silver per dose. And then according to market value by 2 is okay, so it should just take you a week
Okay.
to make a dose. If you roll, yeah, it should just take you a week to make a dose, which is 2 progress. And that's all from like the mushrooms that grow around here, right?
Yeah.
Remember that conversation. I love that it's Isomat Spain. I love that Isomat exists in the lore at this point.
Well, he's out there somewhere, right?
Yeah. He's still
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
He's feasting on Elmeri's bones right now.
Oh God, wouldn't that be swell?
Okay, before we roll for projects, I forgot to roll to pass time, which is what we do to see if anything happens during the week. So for this, Donna, would you mind rolling? Let's see, the village is a village, so it's -2. Wait, do I have that right? I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Oh, minus size, it's -2, so it ends up being +2. So roll 2d6 +2, please.
Okay. Rolled an 11 plus
Okay.
2.
Nothing unusual happens during this first week. Taimi heals up those points.
Boop,
Donna,
boop, boop.
you roll, I think, when you have your special master poisoner, you automatically succeed, right?
Yeah, so it only took us that 1 week to make this. It doesn't take 2 weeks to make
This
this.
is like 1 dose, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what I just wanted to read the actual wording of the thief's master. Is it master poisoner? Is that what it's called? Oh no, poison
it's
is
in
your
the
trick of the
abilities.
trade. Poison.
Oh well, that's the cunning thing. Isn't it the advanced move? Is poison?
Poisoner.
Yeah, poisoner. When you craft poison, and you succeed as if you rolled a 10.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Then you get to mark. Oh, so yeah. So you got a dose that takes a week. And if you wanted to do that, spend another week doing that, you carry over. You would carry over a success there. So essentially, in 2 weeks, you can make 3 doses. If you wanted to do this for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
What that comes down to. So you can make that decision, and then Paiviki is going to roll. This is a 4 tick progress thread, 4 knot thread, and you're going to roll. I'm going to say, how does intelligence make sense? You're studying.
I think so. Or it could be wisdom. I don't know.
Yeah, let's go with intelligence.
Okay. I rolled a 4 plus 2.
6.
Not the best.
You could burn a luck to make that a 7. You do get 1 progress. You get to mark the ability used. Wow, you get to mark intelligence. And I make a move.
I'll let you make a move on me.
going to start a thread. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting a thread for something happening off screen, and you marked one progress there. That brings us to the end of week 1. Week 2, is Tiny still recovering?
Yes, please.
Same deal, camping out in the treetops?
No. I think now I've come back in and I'm starting to, have small talk in town. I don't know what fictionally this requires of me to just like totally be on my back the whole time, but
Oh no, you can move around. You're just moving slow, and
yeah.
all the adrenaline's worn off, and you're feeling the aches and pains. But yeah, so I think probably the best the village has to offer is the equivalent of a modest in somebody's house. Maybe it's Annika's place, wherever. I guess she probably lives with her parents. But yeah, they'll put you up if you want to sleep there, or you can sleep someplace else.
I don't know. I take Paiviki up on her offer to stay with her and
Okay.
Annika's sister.
Cool.
If that option's still available.
I was trying to figure it out. I think supposedly I live with Osmo, the old guy who stole the enchanted bracelet, and Emil, this big strong guy, and his wife Hila. I don't know if Hila lives there too.
Yep, she does.
Okay. And Sinika, Annika's sister.
There we go, Sinika.
Yeah. So yeah, there's always room.
So that's more of a modest that's more of a pour in situation. That's 2d6. You would heal 2d6 if you stay with Paiviki.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
I wonder if we want to like build our own shack or something. Maybe that'd be something to aspire to.
The Heroes of Rayuna clubhouse.
Yeah. Have like a pole that you slide down.
Little Batman.
I got 9 total.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does that bring you back up?
Ability points wise, yeah.
Okay. I forgot to roll past time again. Jan, will you roll 2d6 plus 2?
9 plus 2.
Okay. Nothing, no events. And then Donna, will you roll? Did you want to continue working on the poison?
Yeah, and then they do that carryover.
Yeah, so you don't have to roll any dice at all because you got that poisoner thing.
Oh,
so
okay.
You now have 3
Great.
doses of Islamat's Bane.
Crazy.
And
Damn.
Paiviki.
Roll again.
Yeah.
All right. This time I got a 6 plus 2, an 8.
Okay. That's 2 progress. So this week, I guess, what does that look like as you're, maybe that first week was a little hard to sort of step out of the sort of magical mindset and engage with Tinny's teachings on, which are, I would say, just somewhat different than those of, gosh, what was her name? What was your mentor's name?
Locke.
Right. So what does that look like that week when you're now sort of fully fully a student of the human body?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. I was trying to think of like, well, maybe she goes off into the woods and finds some of those dead bodies, but that's probably not allowed. But I'm trying to think of how one would learn about
maybe Tinny could have like, maybe Tinny like makes a little model out of wood and uses like barley straw to like represent the different muscles, and kind of like maybe it's that kind of teaching, right? Like using like an armature essentially,
Uh-huh.
made out of natural things. And then maybe she's talking a lot about comparing the human body to different there's definitely some dead small game that you guys are
Yeah.
examining and taking apart.
I was thinking about like the sort of like in a medieval mindset of the different natural elements relating to the world, like the water is the blood and the stones are the bones and the plants are the muscles. And like you're saying, you know, making kind of like a straw person. And maybe Paviki is using the weave of force to try to practice mending these things and like stringing them together and tying knots and whatnot.
Oh, great. Yeah. Like fine, like, yeah, that kind of fine movement of like,
Yeah.
tying, and like not tying, but like, for maybe it starts off with tying, but then
Regrowing.
and Tinny has to talk to you about how it's more of a kind of like the way a rope is put together, right? So she like sort of takes some hemp rope or some kind of rope and kind of breaks that apart and shows you how those things are all kind of woven together. And
Yeah.
you have to practice that kind of super fine control.
Yeah. I don't know what happened that first week. Maybe she's too used to using her magic for fighting and she just like snapped the whole thing in half.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then going into week 3, John, will you roll 2d6 plus 2 to pass time?
8 plus 2 is 10.
Okay, nothing happens outside of your activities. Donna, what would you like to do that week?
So my options are like recover, craft. Sorry.
So you can recover, work on a project,
Correct.
and train is the other one where you can try to improve an ability.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll try to see, what should I train? Can I train my intelligence?
Sure. What is your current modifier?
0.
Okay. Let me just pull up that move here. When you spend a week honing an ability, say how you go about it. How are you going to get smarter?
I guess the thought I had was actually just sort of practicing lock picking, but that is probably not intelligence, is it? Or is it? Because if I'm like thinking about like the internal mechanisms of like,
I mean, if you're taking locks apart,
right.
There aren't many complicated locks around here. The locks
Right.
here are pretty simple. The sort of most direct route to improving your mental capacity would be all these books that you guys have. If you want to,
Do you think?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking maybe is there a book that's sort of some touches like maybe somebody's journal and like the stuff that we have that's about
About lockpicking?
being sneaky, yeah,
About
like
being sneaky.
There's a
like the
book that
different.
once called Songs of Darkness.
Mm.
Ooh, interesting.
Was it a
Songs.
journal or?
Uh,
I don't know.
all it is a book title. So in fact,
Mm.
if you want that to be about, if Songs of Darkness is some kind of paean to stealthy activity,
Yeah.
that would totally
Well,
work.
I mean, yeah, I think that it has some kind of, yeah, is written by someone of great cunning.
Okay, great,
Um,
awesome. Yeah, maybe there are various odes to the night and to what it means to not be seen, what it means
Stealthiness.
to cloud people's minds and all of that, right? So there's like some kind of like lengthy philosophical musings on that stuff. Okay, great. So yeah, you engage with that.
Okay, so I'm reading that book.
Yeah, so you can to train. So that's how you go about it, and then you burn 1d4 of that ability
Mm-hmm.
in order to make the roll. So you are taking a little bit of a
Burn.
chance here. Yeah, I guess it's not really a chance, but it's you may not gain anything from it. And this is the move right here, just so you understand how it works. So you would burn a d4 of intelligence, and then you would, there's no modifier, so you just roll 2d6, and then
Good.
see what it does.
Cool. Okay, so I'll burn 2. And then I have to roll 2d6.
Yeah, no modifier.
So I rolled a 9.
Okay, if
Okay,
you
and
so
mark
you,
1.
you mark 1. Yep,
Nice.
great. Paviki.
I guess I'm going to keep on with my practice. You said I need 4 progress.
Yeah, and you are almost there.
Yep. So I rolled with the +2 and 9.
Mark 2. Yep. So that's it. The end of week 3. Yeah, you can give that move a name. I don't know what, mender or how whatever you can call it, whatever you want. But then
Okay. That fits nicely with Weave of Force.
Right. Yeah, so that'll give you a +1 power when you are trying to knit flesh and bone. Taimi, how are you going to spend that third week?
I mean, the next thing that I'm interested in doing character-wise is I've realized how effective I am at shooting, but how the crossbow is really not useful for like in battle, like shooting. So I'd love to get into longbows. So I don't know what that is. Is that a project to make a longbow? Is that a project to research what is longbow? Or I don't know.
Well, I'm sure that well, actually I don't know. Mirren, do the elves have any knowledge of longbow technology? Like the short bow is great for hunting and the kind of stuff that Taimi's been doing. Longbows are more for war, right? They're more about really long range, deadly fighting.
Yeah. I want something that can do more damage.
Yeah.
That is reusable.
I mean, I can think back to what I remember growing up, or like training and sort
if it
of
was a part of
discuss
your
with Taimi different kinds of material to look for, and
great, and like coach Taimi through, or at least your memory of how to fashion such a thing.
the way that the elves did.
Yeah, that's great.
You guys should have a buddy project and both make longbows.
Oh, like together.
Can I make it? Can I like piggyback off of that?
At the same time that you're reading your book.
Right.
It's a montage. It's a montage of book reading and longbow making.
That's an interesting thing. Can two people contribute to a clock? I assume so.
Sure. Well, the way it would work would be one of you would be helping the other. You get a bonus to your roll. Yeah, because one person would be the. I mean, that's just the way the mechanics are set up right now. So you're saying two separate roles, both contributing. I guess if Taimi was not. I mean, if Muirin was not doing anything else this week, you could make two separate roles because Muirin.
Yeah.
Is
100%. Yeah. Like if Muirin's doing something else, then yeah, it's definitely an aid role. But I'm saying if both people were like, we are both going to work on this project.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure. Yep.
I suppose if it works in fiction, like obviously you can't. You can't spin straw into gold in terms of like time. Like if something is going to take a long time, you can't just like put a bunch of people on it and like.
Right. My little equations for trying to figure that out, may not stack up. But let's see. Longbow costs 24. Market value, so that's 12. How many work weeks? Market value divided by 10 round up. That'll take you 2 weeks to make a longbow.
Even with help?
Well, let's see. The best you can get is 3 progress. So yeah, it would still take 2 weeks. You'd just be giving a +1 this week because you'd be advising. Next week, you both could each make separate roles to contribute to this project. But it'll take at least, because you got to like, I mean, I don't know what you got to do to make a longbow. You got to like.
I've made a bow before. It takes at least 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to go about it, but there's a lot of parts to it. Like an English longbow has like horn knocks on the ends, and you got to get the wood seasoned just right so that it's got the not too much moisture in it and that kind of thing.
Great, awesome.
You need the right tools.
I'm glad that this turns out to be roughly correct.
Yeah, and you could easily screw it up too. If you take off too much wood, suddenly you've got like a not very useful bow.
Great.
Or one that doesn't shoot very well.
Jan, what ability do you think a person would use to make a longbow?
I mean, of course, it's a combination of strength, dexterity, and intelligence.
Yeah.
So
I guess, John, you could decide out of those 3, which is dexterity. Is it 16? What's your dex?
It's an 18.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's great. Okay. I will happily use dexterity.
And you get +1 for Muirin's help, so that's a +4 total.
Then I get an 8 + 4, a 12.
Okay, so bam, bam, bam. You have a knack. You understand all of Muirin's teachings. You have found the right kind of wood. Jan, in the bow that you made, what did you use for the string?
Waxed dacron, which is a like a plastic material.
Yeah.
But you can make strings out of linen. The traditional strings are made out of linen, and like a lot of Neolithic strings are made out of sinew or like rawhide, like a very thick string.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing, something like that. Maybe the elves had like special linen they could use, but I was picturing like you need a really long sinew, right? It has to be one piece.
Yeah.
So there's some big animal that Taimi has to hunt to make that work.
I think
that's just
the longbow being as long as you are tall it would have to be some other material, like linen, I think.
Okay, well, whatever it is, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we're in week 4. Donna, will you roll for week 4? I'm
Yes.
assuming you guys would take one more week of downtime to finish this longbow.
I would like that, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I rolled a 6.
+2 is 8. A settlement event occurs at the end of the week. That's convenient. So first you get to do your things. Let's just start with Taimi on that longbow. Oh, yeah. So Donna, would you want to make your own too? Because Taimi, in all likelihood, with a +3 dex, is going to finish this longbow no problem.
Right. And so if I spent this week doing it, would we end up with 2 longbows?
Well, if you both roll and you get between you a total of 5 progress, yes, you'd end up with 2 longbows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ibiki's in no hurry. She could spend another couple months in town just reading books.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess in that case, I don't really quite understand the downtime, if there's a limit to downtime or
It just goes on. I mean, you're free to.
Until-
You're basically, your food is provided for because you're supported by the village, so you don't have to worry
Right.
about food. Events may happen. There is an event at the end of this week. We don't know what it is yet. So there's no real. I mean, time is passing. I do need to make. It is now midsummer.
Yeah, the only the outside influence would be what are the Corkeen up to now that their guy got back to town, and what's happening down in Saltwall,
yeah.
the movement of the world.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess it's so like no matter what we spend time doing, would I still be able to like buy stuff at the marketplace before we leave this?
Oh yeah, you can do that at any
village?
point because that's not like it
Yeah.
doesn't take you a week to do it. So within the fiction,
Okay.
you could totally acquire at any point here. You could acquire stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I would help build the longbows.
Okay, great. So you can use Dex or Strength or Intelligence.
I'll use my dex,
Okay.
which is a +2.
Great.
Okay, that's a 8 + 2 is 10.
Okay, bam, 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 and then Taimi.
That's a 4 + 4 is 8.
Okay, and that is 2 progress, which is just what you need.
Oh, phew. Okay.
And then I think there's a cut to a as an arrow strikes a tree, and then what color feathers do you have in your arrow, Taimi?
What's native around here?
That's up to you. You're the expert on the local.
I mean, I feel as if it's like a brown. There's like some sort of like grouse type bird in the motherwood.
Okay, great. So that arrow strikes the tree. It goes in a good 3 inches into that hardwood, and then a second arrow strikes the tree. What color feathers does your arrow have, Mirren? It's got to be different than the brown grass.
Can they be green?
Sure, yeah. Maybe it's dyed or something like that, or maybe there's a green bird that
There might be green. For sure, there's probably green feathers.
So your arrow thunks into that tree, and then we get the turnaround, and we see the two of you standing in the lower meadow at the foot of the hill, sort of examining each other's bows, satisfied with the results. Yeah. And now you can each write down that you each have a longbow.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about arrows? Do they come with the package?
Makes sense.
I guess not.
Oh.
Go call the Fletcher.
Those 2 that you just shot, you managed to make, but yeah. Well, actually, Right. I guess that you would need different arrows, wouldn't you? Because it's a longer draw.
It's not a longer draw,
Oh, it's not. Okay.
but to make a real longbow arrow, you'd probably need iron
Iron
tips.
tips to really do it. Yeah. So we'll say for now, you guys have I guess that maybe that's another one hits the tree and it splinters, right? And that's when Muiren's already discussed the fact that you need iron tips or some kind of metal tips for these things to really do the job. Because in the mechanically they do have piercing, right? They can actually punch through armor. So that is the missing component here. You do have arrows that you can fire, but they won't have the piercing tag.
Okay. So can we say that we have like 3 ammo worth of arrows, non-piercing?
Sure. Yeah, we'll say that. That's totally fine. Between the two of you, or no, each. Let's just say, yeah. You got the village kids to work on those arrows.
Hey, kid.
Come over here.
Hey.
Yeah, they're all excited. And then, can I study the books that we have been laying around all this time?
Yeah. We already established that you were able to kind of figure out the wizard tongue, right?
Yeah, that I was piecing together what I had learned from Locke with the actual written words on the page and trying to connect them into being able to actually read. And I think I was able to decipher the words for the lock of mud. So I knew the name for it.
Oh, that's right.
But I didn't figure out the names for the other spells. Demon something. Oh, I didn't know the name for the lock of mud, the name of the wizard. And then there was a third spell. It said there was 4 to 5 spells in the book, and those were the 3 that I made any sense out of.
But you didn't have the full name of any of them, right?
No.
Just
No.
like little hints. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just open up that. All the way back to the beginning of my campaign document. Way back in the beginning. Okay. Oh, gosh. Well, you know a little bit of Wizard Tongue. Do you have written down that there's a book called Awake to the Rifts?
Nope.
Okay, that's one of the books that was in Wizard Tongue, and you've managed to figure out that title. So that one, yeah. So I guess what you can do is spend this week studying that, or trying to get further with those spells in the Sorcerer's spell book. Or unless there's another book you're interested in investigating, but the Sorcerer's spell book would be the one that would have actual spells that you could learn.
And the other ones are more like giving me knowledge about certain things with this in the world of magic, or I don't know what's in them.
There'd be more for like finding answers when it was appropriate, right? Like
yeah.
By using.
I think I want to try to learn another spell if I can.
Okay. So I think instead of making it a project, we'll just have you make a find answers roll with intelligence. And is the goal to just learn one specific, like one of the spells you have a clue about so far? Or are you going to try to Like you could choose one of those ones that you know a little bit about and specifically focus on learning that spell, or you could try
Yeah.
to decipher
I mean,
more.
yeah. Why don't I just try seeing if I can figure out Lock of Mud, since I have two of the names in it, two of the words in it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be find answers roll with intelligence.
So just roll plus.
Plus your intelligence modifier.
Okay. I got a 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay. My
What
answer
is
is
the-
cryptic or incomplete, but I'll tell you how to learn more. You already had deciphered part of this, so I think what I'll say is you now know the full name of the spell, and that is Perista's Lock of Mud. Some sorceress named Perista formulated this. Who knows how long ago? And you have gotten a grasp on that spell, but you haven't learned it in this week.
Can I?
If you wanted to, if you were going to travel, you could sort of study that on the go and gradually learn it. But yeah,
Can I spend a luck to make it a 10?
Yes.
And learn it?
Yep.
I'll do it.
Great. And what is the what's the application that you find? Like, how do you know that you've mastered that spell? What's the thing that you do with it?
Well, I remembered when the wizard cast it around my feet, and I was just very curious about that, and so I think trying to like get the mud to transform and become solid, like at a beck and call, just like, yeah, become solid. And she was trying to make it take on a shape and then freeze up, and probably she was doing that, and it would crumble, or it would just kind of like melt and ooze back down again. So trying to like get it to entwine around something and then turn solid. And I think she finally figured it out when she did it around her own leg. And then she was like, now what do I do? I'm stuck. But she was really happy, and it took her like an hour to like chip herself out.
Weave of Force doesn't help you when the mud is locked solid like that. It's like
I don't know if she was ready to cast another spell.
Right.
Like,
got
she didn't want to mess around with that. She said, I'm just going to break out the old-fashioned way, and kind of like stretched and found a stone and started like hacking away.
Great. Excellent. Yeah, so you can add that to your spell book.
And can I at the end of the week make a visit to
Yarko?
Yarko?
Yeah. Yeah, so they've probably got him set up by now in a nicer digs. Now that the word keepers are gone.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, he could live in the Corquiatalo if he wanted to.
Yeah, does he want to, John? What do you think?
I think that he, yeah, I think that he would. I mean, like, yeah, if he became like kind of a caretaker of it, and maybe got to sleep inside instead of that, like, kind of miserable hovel attached to the back.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So I would invite everybody over, including Anika and Topias, and say that I wanted to make good on the promise that I had made Yarko that I would learn the magic to fix his arm.
Oh, Paiviki, is such a thing possible?
I think so, Yarko, but I cannot make any promises. I can only do my best. Do you want me to try?
He looks down at his arm. I do not understand, but yes, please try.
So I think Paiviki would like get everybody really comfortable and try to have the situation be very sort of relaxed so that there's no like unnecessary distractions or stress involved. Kind of like getting everybody's goodwill for Yarko's speedy recovery.
Are there people around? Like,
I mean, yeah, like Mirren and Taimi and
Okay.
Anika and Topias.
the old gang from the cave.
The old gang, because
Yeah, the cave gang.
And are you guys in the house or outside or?
Yeah, I think so. Just go into the Corchiatalo and, light some candles and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's that kind of situation. Got it.
Yeah.
Great. So you put everyone at ease. It's quiet in there. It's like the latter part of the day.
And I think she's concerned about Yarko being in pain or whatever it would do. So she gives him some of that red root that
Red cap.
no, there's this root that Teeny gave Paiviki a long time ago that is supposed to calm people.
Uh-huh.
So like
Yeah.
make like a tea or a drink out of that stuff. And then
Great. So is he sitting in El Mary's chair? Or is he lying down or?
I think maybe lying down, just
Okay.
tell him to relax and like let all of his just let all of his muscles relax and that kind of thing.
He moves to brandish the wound, having no other frame of reference to think that you must have to like touch it directly.
Mm-hmm. I am going to touch it.
What would it feel like?
Paiviki says, I don't know, Yarko, but I can only say that my hope is that when I'm done, it will feel like it used to.
He sets his face, preparing for who knows what. All right, do it.
Okay. I'm just thinking about these magical consequences.
Well, you got
Now my arm is a snake. It's an action.
Exactly.
right now you got a +3, right?
I got a +3.
Yeah. So worst case is a 5. The spell fails, you forget it. Arcane forces temporarily warp reality for the worse in proportion to the spell's intended effect. That could do something like what John's saying. It probably wouldn't be a snake, but something very strange.
Yeah.
So
work.
worst
It
case,
affects a different target.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Paiviki also has this piece of that magical stone, the magnetic stone.
Yep.
Maybe she could use that to help. I don't know.
I think that's maybe a little brute forcey. It's a little you're needing some finesse. I think that just requires your personal attunement to the weed.
Right. Well, let's just roll it then. See what happens.
Okay. You got a 2d6 plus 3.
Got a 10.
Okay. Wow. So I was thinking in my head, if you get over a 10, it's painless.
I got a 10.
In that middle range there was going to be some pain. Okay.
10 plus 3.
So, and can you give us a brief description of? So you sort of put both hands on the injured area.
Yeah.
And then do you like close your eyes or?
Yeah, I think it's a close your eyes kind of situation. You don't want to really be paying attention to what you're seeing. And I think that to those onlookers like Taimi and Mirren, they would probably see like the skin and muscles would all start to kind of like do this little sort of dance like in the air.
Oh, whoa, in the air.
Like this.
Whoa.
You know, but it's all kind of encased in a little bit of a hazy glow of some kind.
Oh, wow.
And the muscles start to kind of do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, like a rope kind of start to twist together. Wow. And then they relax and kind of lay themselves back down, and the skin kind of does this thing and knits itself together. And you can kind of see the skin doing this sort of thing. And probably Yarko's feeling it sort of tickling or something like that. Are you reaching for your muscle, Jason?
Yeah, what's Yarko's response there?
I think his brow furrows because like almost the anticipation of pain isn't there, and that's surprising. And then he feels it like something's happening, and then I assume that there's like a moment where like stuff is reconnected and he can now like resense his arm, and he feels like the bristly hay of the sleeping mat. And his eyes shoot open. Vicky. And he like reaches up and like reaches for your hand. Not with his other arm is still laying. It's weak. Yeah. It's atrophied.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But he kisses your hand.
And then Paviki reaches down and grabs his other hand and kind of gives it a squeeze, and sees if he can squeeze back.
Very weakly. Again, what is this, like 4 months since the beast?
Yeah. Yep.
But it is it is magical.
Yeah, and and he squeezes back.
That's a very weak response
and
there.
he's teary and just heaping praise and thanks and kissing your hands.
And Paviki says, remember you taught me how to fight, Yarko. So you got to work on that arm again to get yourself strong so we can wrestle again.
I will wrestle. I can hold a sword.
I was wondering too, how is Topias's arm? Does he have any permanent injury now that I'm in the business of
now you're going around, now that you're the Messiah?
Fixing people?
He could use some it's not what it's enough of an injury, like he has limited mobility in that arm, and there's a lot of pain if it goes in the wrong direction, so
I think Paiviki would try to fix Topias's arm too.
Okay.
Just get it done.
That's a you got a +4 for that.
What is it?
+4 because it's a
Okay.
lesser effect.
Okay. I got a 9, so 13.
Okay. All right. Yep. He's been restored as well.
I'm going to put a sign up over the Corky at
you gotta watch it, man. You gotta watch it. Who knows who's gonna come looking for help at this point?
Yeah.
But everybody's incredulous. I guess you were saying it was the old. So Costi and Esais are there, and they're just like, Paiviki, what happened? Like, what is? How do you do? You know, there's just like incredulity, and joy. Like, you know, they're happy and Yarko, and yeah, everybody's very, very excited. And word's gonna spread unless you tell people not to spread the word.
Well, I think that people will know something happened, but
right.
Because Yarko is going to be using his hand again, but maybe for now, we don't need to talk about it. But just for now.
Okay.
I think we're going to be busy for a little while.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, he nods, kind of getting your meaning. I will try my best, Taimi. What you've done is beyond description. But I will do my best.
Yarko, maybe you can, when your arm is better, you can join us on our journey.
Your journey? Where are you going?
Well, we're not done exploring yet, so we could use a strong man like you.
But that is something very big. That is perhaps beyond me. This place wouldn't be the same without you. Look, he motions around him. This bed is ours now. Elmary's gone. Isn't this what we wanted?
Yes, but we've been talking about going to find out who else we can use to help in case the Corkine come back. Who can help us and who lives? We don't even know who lives beyond our borders, past the good fishing spot.
Only stories of the lands of beyond.
We should go and find out.
It will not be the same. But those that remain will endeavor to... I lost the line. Line?
Okay, so wrap that. Is there anything unsaid there? Okay. And we're about ready to wrap up. But could you guys roll me a settlement event? That was lovely, by the way. That was tying it all the way back to the very beginning of this epic adventure to give Yarko, make Yarko whole again. Amazing.
Didn't he karate chopped Topias in the neck because he was like gonna like sneeze and wake up the wolf.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And then the wolf went at him.
Now his karate chopping arm is back to
Yeah, that's right.
back
Watch
to
out,
full
boy.
strength.
I'll take out your Adam's apple, kid.
Yeah, next of Rayuna, beware.
Can each of you roll a d12, please?
Happily.
And then Donna first. What do you got?
2.
2?
12.
12. Okay. Jan
7.
and John Chad.
8.
Okay. All right. That gives me something to start us with next time. That is the event that happens at the end of the week. So before we wrap up, or maybe actually after we wrap up, you guys can talk about where you want to go as far as exploring next, so that I can prepare for that. So the new, usually for a downtime session, there's not a whole lot of XP. You did stash some stuff, that got you some XP. We'll see what happens. If you're multi-classing, the new rule for wrapping up is you have to hit both of your class triggers to get an XP. Right? That's going to be currently that's the trade-off for the advantages in multi-classing.
Okay.
So that would be, in your case, Jan, Paviki's case, that's solving a problem with physical prowess and solving a problem with magic. Definitely solve the problem with magic. I'm trying to think if he solved the problem with physical prowess.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I bashed. I broke myself free from a magical spell that I cast on my foot.
Right.
That's about it.
And that didn't call for a roll. We just kind of
No.
Yeah. Muirin didn't really solve a problem with stealth or trickery, right? Studying some stealth, but didn't solve any problems with stealth. Taimi solved a problem with physical prowess. Didn't really come up. Okay. Traits. Anybody fulfill any traits?
I
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, focused.
Wait, what's that other one you have? Don't you have like what's the other one?
Respectful.
Yeah. So the way you handled the guy Ed Selmy when he was standing there, and you said,
Yeah,
"This
that's
good,"
right.
that was totally respectful. Like you get XP for that. Paiviki.
Bold and boastful. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's bold to try to repair someone's arm with magic.
When you have a +3.
Yeah, I mean, it's more kind than bold, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Taimi, curious?
Yeah, that's the only argument I would put forward. Like Taimi identifying from her past battles, like, this is a problem, my ability not to shoot in succession. So, like, let's figure out a way around that.
I guess maybe if you would express some curiosity about the elvish way of making longbows or something like that, right?
That's fine.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Just because I know you're serious about the RP, so that's the only
Yeah.
Alignment goals. Did anybody have an opportunity to do that? Well, actually, gosh, Paiviki, you restored an imbalance.
I did.
In more ways than one. Diarco's arm and Voito's absolution. Like,
Oh yeah.
You totally oversaw those things happening, so you get XP for that because you're neutral, right?
Yep.
Let's see, lawful, maintain order in the face of chaos. That didn't really happen, right? No real chaos occurred, unless I'm mistaken. And John, you are chaotic?
Chaotic, yeah.
You didn't really cause any
chaos.
No disruption.
No, I didn't disrupt anything.
Exciting discovery.
The web of force can be used to heal people.
Yeah, that's a fucking big deal. Yes, everybody gets XP for that.
All right.
Overcome a difficult obstacle. I don't think a real difficult obstacle presented itself. Right? Like something that was actually stopping you from doing something. Acquire some memorable booty. You acquired the booty last time and got XP for it. Was anything new come into your... You made some longbows. I mean, I think that's memorable. I don't know if it counts.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
Do crafting items count as booty?
I think in this case, I mean, I guess it's kind of a toss-up. You guys can totally decide. It's like, it's memorable. To me, it's memorable that you made those longbows, right?
Yeah.
And it is gear that you possess. So why not? Let's take XP for that.
Okay.
All right. And then decide together what you want to do next session and tell the judge your plan so they can prep accordingly. So if you guys want to see the map, the old map. Wait, where's my new map?
What's that?
That's the old original map.
There's stuff there we haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, it's actually included Hukunut and the capital there. Watchers climb in those mountains behind.
Oh, okay.
What was what was the significance of those mountains again?
This is the wrong. The ones above, the ones to the north?
Yeah.
No particular significance.
Okay. I thought there was something with Mirren's past, but I can't remember.
Didn't you travel from that direction, Weirin? From the north?
Yes.
So maybe Weirin can tell us what the significance of those.
Wow, I really don't recall this conversation.
But don't sweat it. Let's not worry about filling in the gaps right now.
Okay.
Is this the right one? This is the right one. Okay. I'm pulling up the other map.
I mean, in the spirit of finding allies and exploring the region, do we want to go north or do we want to go follow up on one of the leads that we already had, like finding out the other regions between here and Salt Wall, or what do you guys think?
I'm up for new stuff. I'd love to follow the river north towards more ocean.
Oh.
Because didn't we talk about us having knowledge of like fishing villages that way?
Yeah, on the far north coast, there's some. Yep, there are some fishing villages.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Donna?
I like that idea too. I think Mirren was. If Mirren did come from the north, then it might be interesting from her to sort of like on a returning type path from even if it was a while ago. Yeah.
Great. So if your goal would be, do you want to just explore Watcher's Climb in those mountains? Is the goal to kind of like see what's out there? Or if your goal is to get to the fishing villages and if you're more interested in what's on the coast, you do know that kind of going around the mountains to the east, out the direction that you ambush the hand in, but then heading north across the plains would be easier to get there. Yeah.
I guess like if we want to kind of meld what we want in fiction and out of fiction.
Yeah.
Like we know what's at our back. We know what's south of us. We know the terrain. We know the obstacles. We know like what could come from us. We know what's to the west of us or east of us. We don't know what's to the north of us. So I could say that we like would take the route that someone who might come to attack us or approach us might take.
Oh, okay, great. So sort of suss out the approach to see.
So maybe not take the mountainous route, but maybe a more level route. What do you two think?
I mean, I think it's the idea of sort of retracing Mirren's path here, and with an eye of like exploring and finding out, what is to the north. Maybe with some guidance from Mirren would be cool.
Mirren, if you want to retrace your course that you came down, did you come down the river that is on the eastern side here or on the western side? Which one of those would you have come down, do you think?
I think it was the eastern side.
Okay. Got it. And how far off in that direction was your homeland? Were your people? Or whatever this, I don't know if you were part of a nomadic group or if your group was actually settled, but that branch of the Elvish folk, like how many days or weeks did it take you to make that trip?
I think it's really
Like
on
really
the
far.
longer side.
Like another, like a whole nother kind of distant land kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it feels distant, but I do think they could be on the same land mass.
Same continent. Okay, great.
Yes, and
But
continent.
far. Okay, great. Good to know. Which makes sense because we, the elves, as we know, are scattered and kind of rare. So, okay, awesome.
Yeah, right. If people know about elves, it makes sense that they're still on here.
Okay, awesome. So I think maybe before next session, what I'll do first, we'll resolve this event that you guys rolled up. I'm gonna do some work to figure out that region, and then also there's probably some rumors about that region, right? So I'll figure out before you guys even set out. There'll be some information about what might be out there, because there would be some knowledge of that.
Do we get to find out what happened to El Mary one way or the other?
I'm gonna roll for El Mary to see what happens to him.
Oh boy. Oh, you're gonna roll.
Yeah.
Hey Jason, can you remind me how much silver we took? Because we said we were gonna keep
58
Thank you.
into your kitty there. All right. Oh, good. Was there any?
Is there enough? Sorry, is there enough silver for me to like pick up like throwing knives or something?
Oh yeah, there's 246 total in the shared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
In fact, what you would do is probably these traveling merchants. There aren't a whole lot of them, but these ones who come from the east, from Hukunut, you would basically say like you'd express your desire for these things, like on one of those weeks where you were doing downtime activities, and then those merchants on their trips back and forth, the next time they come, they would bring throwing knives for you. So yeah, they can.
And lock picks, because I tried to get those last time, but nobody had them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'll make a note that that's some stuff, and I'll just throwing knives should not be a problem.
Okay. And then my last one was like I figured a spear might be part of like the weapons that the hand or whoever had, or maybe they were kept in the Almeri area. How that Karkia Tower.
Yeah. Do you want a spear?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a spear around for you to take if you want it, for sure.
Did your spear break?
Yeah, I broke a few back in Ledepsi.
Oh,
Man, you're armed to the teeth.
Not going to take that giant mace though. Not taking not dragging that along. All right. Any other closing business?
Thank you for everybody being flexible for doing this today instead of tomorrow.
oh yeah.
Oh, and I think I probably can't play for 2 weeks because I got all this holiday stuff happening.
It might be Christmas week then.
Sorry, I meant for the next 2 weeks I cannot play. So it would be 3 weeks that we would, 3 weeks from now would be when I would be able to play.
Yeah.
So holiday break.
New Year's week. Okay.
Yeah, I guess is that
Um,
week? Whatever.
I think we leveled up too, John.
No, I didn't. I'm still 2 off. You did though.
Oh, I was looking at the numbers you have written. I think we level up at 100 based on the dots.
Okay. Well, how much?
Jason, you can confirm.
I'm not tracking your effing XP. I can't.
Well, no, I mean the ladder. You have a ladder of levels.
Well, it's 5 XP for level 1, right?
Correct. To get to
5?
level 1, you guys were villagers in the beginning, is what John's talking about.
Yeah.
You were level 0.
Oh, so that's why you have an extra 5 on yours.
That's right.
5, 10, 15, 20,
Okay.
25, 30.
I mean, doesn't it work if you just mark the bubbles?
Yeah.
But because you made the digital thing, I don't want to keep going back and forth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I didn't make that. Somebody else did. God damn it.
Yeah. No, it's 105 if you count all the bubbles from level 1 to the end of level 6.
Okay.
105.
Okay.
I'll get there.
I get it. There was a 5.
And it'll be sweet when you do.
I'll just level up myself then.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, it's just an advanced move, right?
Yes.
You're level 6. Sweet. Level 6.
Oh,
All right.
Can't wait.
Awesome, dudes. All right, that gives me some good time to do some homework and develop some stuff here, which is awesome. Okay, great. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thank
Hanukkah.
you.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
All that. Love you too.
Love you guys.
What was that? Bye. What was that? All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.